Hello, this is Max Drake. I want to talk to you about some productivity tools that I've just found and I think are quite interesting. One of them is Ultimate Windows 10 Tweaker, and what that does is it basically tweaks some of your settings on your computer on your Windows 10. Now, the essence of this thing, it comes as a downloadable zip file and you actually unzip it and then you fire up a program. But what it does is it customizes things like it's got enabled dark theme, which I was quite excited about. And then in the context menu is another thing that I've got here. On the desktop context menu, I can actually use the command admin. Now, what's context menu? We just drop that down. Here, if I right click my mouse, here's the context menu. Now I've got command prompt in admin mode and I just click there. So I can come through there and I'm in command prompt there. Normally you'd come down here and type command and then you'd find the command prompt there. The other way that you would actually do a lot of these editing that you can do on this universal app, so if we come into customizations, there's taskbar, there's file explorer customizations. So there's things like remove, show OneDrive in navigation pane. I've got it switched off. I find that I don't use it at all. So there's a whole lot of little tweaks that you can do without fiddling with. The normal process that you do is you'd go and do your registry editor. Now this, they don't like you doing this, and if you get it wrong, it buggers up your computer and you've got to do a complete reinstall through here. So it's not worth messing with these things. But just to try some tweaks out to see if certain things work for you, and there's a few options all the way through this. There is a video and an article on this that I've given links through to on this one here. You can try them out, and if they don't work, you just untry them. So you switch them off again and go and do something else. So worth a crack for handily doing things without damaging your computer by messing around with the regex things and actually getting a few tweaks. I actually find that I do like this in dark mode, so that's quite handy. And again, my browser's in dark mode as well. I can't remember if I put that on or not. So that's the one thing. It's little tweaky things, but it could help you. You know, it's sort of the little irritating things and things. The second one's Vimium add-on to Firefox. Now, this is for the Firefox browser, and if you go into the add-ons for things, now this happens in Firefox and it also happens in Chrome. There's a Vimium FF and there's a Vimium, the other one, C. I'm using the FF. Now you see this is the one for it. It's grayed out here, and if I touch on this, Vimium is not running on this page. There's some reason why it doesn't. But, you know, if I just go into a page, and that won't work there. If I just go into this one here, and I've got a nice tab there. Fuck you. No, turn you off. You bastard. Hello, this is Max Drake. I'd like to talk to you about this, a couple of productivity tools that I've just come across. So I'm still trying them out, but I think they're useful. So I just wanted to get this information out there. One of them is the Ultimate Windows 10 Tweaker. Somebody's written a free little app here that'll change some of the settings on your computer. So inside the customizations, you can go to the Windows 10. I can enable dark mode. So if I now go into my Explorer, it's in dark mode. Another thing that you get quite irritating is you get the OneDrive icon for that directory coming through here. Inside the file explorer here, you can show OneDrive in navigation pane. That's been switched off, so you can get rid of those. So these are all little irritating little hacks that you normally would actually have to go into the registry editor that goes absolutely ape if you start fiddling with this. And these things can crash your computer if you don't do them properly, so never mess with that unless you know what you're doing or you've got a really good tutorial to do it, or prepare to actually reinstall your software again. afterwards. From experience, I've done all of those things. The other thing that's quite useful in this is the context menu. One that got me really exciting was this command admin. Now it gives this top, middle, bottom thing. So at the moment I've got it on the top, and I'll show you what this one does. Unfortunately, it's only doing it on the desktop. So I'm on the desktop, I'm going to go right click the mouse, and here it is in the desktop. Now I've got it set at the top or the middle or the bottom. Now I've got two other ones. Task Manager I've got set up on there, and I've got settings for the system. So instead of coming and faffing down here, I can just go to the one place on it. So I might go to the system, or I might go to the Task Manager, which I'd normally get through using Control-Alt-Delete and then scrolling down to the bit that I actually wanted. So those things speed up a lot of those stuff. Now the command one I was quite excited to begin with, because I thought I could open it in directly, but because it only opens in the desktop, you then have to CD change directory to find all the directories you want. Now, the way that I normally do that is that, let's just say I'm in this subdirectory through here. If I select the address bar and type cmd, that takes me to that subdirectory without having to type -users, -drake, -downloads, blah, blah, blah. And you see, as soon as you've got white space in between, it just goes absolutely nuts on you anyway. So that can be real irritating, typing all of those things in all of the time. So that's how I jump in between. Now, why would I want to do that? There might be some code in that directly. So if I type code ... space dot, it'll open up my Visual Studio Code, which is all in dark mode anyway, so that's quite handy. So this is the way that I'm using that, but even then it's got some useful things, is that you can add things to your context menu and stuff. The nice thing as well is if they don't work, you can just reverse them. So you can apply the tweak, and then if it doesn't work, or like here we can go for top, middle, bottom, or locate them somewhere else, we can add the restart. There's other context menus that you can add. That's where I'm actually adding, taking some of the things out. I think on context menu 2 I've got systems in there, and then you can actually have one for full scan and things like that, things that you jumping around, and then you can jump to drives and stuff. There are some universal apps that you have for maps, people, mail and stuff, but I don't use a lot of these things anyway. The only one that I might think of using might be settings, because I might be jumping up across those, but then again I've got that with the system as well. So it's one of those things, you take it on, you try it for a week, try some settings. If they work for you, you'd work, and afterwards you just delete that program because you've got the settings that you want. The second one that I want to talk about is a Vimium add-on to Firefox. Now, Vimium is a, let me just really, I'm on a page, and you see this little add-on here. It's been added here. If I just go shift /, I get the question mark. So that's really just the question mark that you pop up, and it gives you a list of all of these things done. Basically, you're navigating your browser by keystrokes. Now, why would you do that? Well, my PC in the office, or where I'm actually working, I'm actually using a mouse on that. But my other one, I've got an old Surface 3 tablet with a keyboard that I don't use a mouse on. I actually just find I use the mouse. So being able to navigate with the keyboard alone actually makes things like you can edit the current URL, you can open a bookmark and do all sorts of things. Now let me just show you a couple of little things. I want a new tab. I just type T, new tab. Now, because that's bounced me straight into the address bar, I can use a couple of shortcut things, like I've got one here called BB. So that just takes me to that. Now, what that BB is I've got a bookmark called BBC, and if I right click on that bookmark, the properties, I've got a keyword abbreviation, just a couple of letters, which take me to there. So I can do that. But now I'm in that page, I can actually just type B, which brings up the bookmark thing, and then I can actually just go to ST, which is a stuff one. So that takes me through to there. Now, another one that you can actually do through here is that you can go /, and that comes down here into a thing, and then I can do a search, let's say Trump, because he's usually in the music, and I go enter, and then if I go N, you see anywhere where it's mentioned, it's jumping up onto those. So it's jumping through as to every time he is. The other thing that it does on that, so that's the search one, is if I type GG, it takes me to the top of the page. If I go shift GG, it takes me to the bottom of the page. If I go D, let me just go U takes me up by half a page each time. D takes me down by half a page each time. J scrolls down, or you can hold your finger on the J to do the scrolling, and K does the other way as well. So you're doing a whole lot of navigation and basically jumping around. Now it's using Vim is a Linux text editor, so I think it's using a lot of the keyboard shortcuts on that. So that's a really handy thing for me where I'm doing it, and because I tend to like using keyboard shortcuts because they're I find they're quicker to use than sometimes coming in and looking for something up through here. And this is the other reason why I like inside Firefox. It allows you to have these property things, which I find is very powerful. Now another thing with that is that I've got a whole load of these notated through here, so all of my abbreviations for a lot of the websites are noted here. So I can actually take those two out there. So these ones, and brings me on to the next subject. This is 9Notes, which is an add-on to my Firefox where I have notes on certain things. I have another one. This is an Alt Q. It brings me up this, which is my copy texty. So this is also handy when I'm working between something like Word and I'm doing an article in on my website. I can cut and paste things and put them here and hold them here until I need them somewhere else, and it gives me a whole lot of different ones that I can do, and then after a while I just blow them away and start again, or I can save them and keep them for later. But this works on my computer here, so this is handy for this particular computer. But because I work on two computers, I'll be in the evening and I'll be using the other computer, and I have an idea and I want to keep that idea, or I've watched a video and I want to keep that video idea. One of the things that I do with the videos is that, like, a lot of times I'll find an article or something that I want, and I just go click and I'll email it to myself. But then suddenly I've got a whole lot of different emails with different articles and things in that I'm using, and they sort of get lost because if I haven't used it after a couple of days, I normally just click on it to say it's read, because otherwise I find the number of unread ones a bit too irritating. So I would normally use Google Keep, and Google Keep has a wonderful thing in Firefox where you just click on it and it opens up a new tab ready to go. Now I find for my shopping list and for some of the personal ideas and things that I do, absolutely brilliant. I don't find it works very well for work stuff though, because it sort of works well on the mobile screen. That's where I really drive it from, and I only add one or two things from the desktop as I need them, as I suddenly thought and I'm sitting on the thing. So I started to use SuperNotes. And the reason I've used SuperNotes is because I can transfer a little snippet of code. I can put a few of the links down here that I've seen a video or something that I find really interesting that I want to do a little project on later on, or there's certain things like the Git. I'm starting to use Git, and I've added a few more things, like there's Hub Create. So from your Git, from inside your code on your PC, you can create the repository instead of actually having to go into Git and doing it in there in the browser. So a couple of the things I've got to remember the commands, so I can actually put those commands through there and keep them for later. Now this keeps it separate. So that's the idea of Google Keep. Just hasn't worked for me from a personal, from a working point of view. I could use OneNote, but I find with all the tabs and the things, and also when you end up with a page, you write some text in one place and then you find that your written text in another little page next to it, or in another little slot, or video suddenly will come under the, it's too tiresome. It's not what I want. This is very minimalist, and I like it, and it basically just has the one page, so you can actually search using filters on it. So if I've got 55 things through here, and then it holds things up, and presumably there's some other stuff that you can do. I'm sure the upmarket version, now there is a free version through here, which is what I'm using. There are upmarket versions and stuff. Now there are things like Notion, there's things like ClickUp, there's things like Airtables and stuff. All of those I find far too heavy. You just want you want something quick. You can go in there and throw an idea down, or paste a link across very quickly. You don't want to be fiddling and faffling with things, because I find I get distracted, and then I find I don't use it. But I want to share it across other computers, and so this is one. The one negative about it is you do have to log in on it, which is a bit of a pain. But apart from that, it's something that I'm trying. So I'll give a link to this article that I've written on these three tools. And as I said, I'd really only put the SuperNotes in just because I've been having this issue of my favourite note taker doesn't work on a different level for what I'm actually doing at the moment. And some of it is actually pasting codes. Now, Google Keep has a really brilliant thing. Sometimes you'll have a tutorial on YouTube where they'll write the code, but they won't give you the GitHub repository of where they've actually got the code. So you actually have to do a screenshot. And within Google Keep, you can take a screenshot of the code and it'll do an OCR to try and do that. So I find that's really handy because it's part of the thing within itself. So very nice tool. A lot of the coding doesn't come out quite right, but at least it gives you a start and you don't have to do the bulk of it. I hope that's you found that interesting. If it's of any use to you, I hope it helps your productivity or whatever. And please give a thumbs up if you found it useful. If not, don't, because it ain't worth it.